like I'll write the title and it wants to write it backwards, reading right to left. And I'm
Weird.
like, what the heck is it doing? And that's just happened in the last 2 weeks or so. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, and I am here with Ken Barrios. Oh, wait, this is your show.
I know. Whose show is this? Whatever. This is our show today.
Whose show is it anyway?
Who knows whose shows this is, right?
Right.
But yeah, so for everybody that will probably tune in on this later, because we just went live and nobody knew we were going to go live because we had just decided spontaneously that this was going to become a thing tonight. So we're trying something a little different. We're on a Zoom call and we're pushing this through Facebook Lives. First time I get to try to do this. Those that have been following me and my technological feats, and I use this very loosely.
Feats.
Understand that this is like a whole other level.
That's right. It's awesome. No, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, which is so important. When you're trying to expand broaden your horizons.
Yes, and today we're going to talk with Saint Christopher. No. As well, I guess, right? Today is just Christopher St. Germain.
Get out of that military mind. Always trying to call me by my last name.
Whatever his last name is. This guy, right? We've known each other for a bit now, since our time in Korea. And since then have both been leaping out. And that's a truth. Trying to carve our own ways, in our own ways, in doing things. As you can tell, by his shirt, he might be into funnel hacking. Just a touch, like the obsessive. So either on the replay or people check in at some point, when I ask questions to Chris about ClickFunnels, he's your guy. So that's there. I put it out there. Now you got to deal with it. Whatever happens.
Yeah, that's true. I put it out there all the time, so I'm not worried about it.
So tonight we're going to try something. We want to do a little bit of interview style. Like I know Chris. So the objective of tonight is for you to know Chris. And we're going to try something a little different. And hopefully it's educational and entertaining for everybody. So you ready, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So basically I'm going to run through what I call the 4 master questions. And we'll see how he responds. And we're just going to flow. So Chris, what is your story?
Well, it's kind of funny because Facebook tells you every day, like what happened in your own history. So the other day I had a photo pop up and I believe it was 9 years ago that we were in Korea. It wasn't like the day we met or anything, but we were in Korea together and we're all with a bunch of buddies and hands are around each other. Like, the camaraderie of being in the military and being overseas. And so my story, I guess, is that I have been moving basically every 2 years of my life for my entire adult life. Basically, since I was 19 years old, I haven't lived in the same place continuously until this last time that I went to Korea, and I lived there for a 6-year stretch. So this is my first time back in the United States in the past 6 years. And the idea of reverse culture shock is very real. So I've been working from my desk basically from the past 3.5 years, just working out of an office. I did have a contract to do photography while I was in Korea for the last 3 years, but I was the only person in the country who was hired to take photos for the military for this particular assignment. So I made my own rules. I made my own hours. I got very used to the life of freedom that comes with being your own boss. And of course, military contract life, the pay was pretty good too. So the hours were low, the pay was high. My wife and I were doing really well. And then she got really sick, not like physically ill, like tuberculosis or anything like that, God
Mm.
forbid, right? But she had to have a surgery on her neck. She had a calcification inside of her vertebrae,
Oh my.
and they can't go in and remove it because it could potentially damage the nerve more than if they just slice open the vertebrae and move them out of the way and put some wedges in there and then put screws in there to hold everything back in place. So that's what she had to do. And the doctor said, she had a 60-40 chance that she would come out and be paralyzed for the rest of her life. But if she
Wow.
didn't have the surgery, she was already paralyzed. Like, it happened on Christmas Eve, 2017. So it was almost 2 years ago that she was in the kitchen, she was cooking, and then she said, you know what, I've got these shooting pains going down to my fingertips, and I can't, I'm trying to cook a meal for the church and stuff like this, and I can't like even hold the spoon. I don't know what's wrong. I thought she'd slept wrong and
Mhm.
hurt her neck or something like that. To Motrin, and you'll be fine, right? So
Of
uh
course, right?
I mean,
Motrin
that's
solves
yeah. So I gave her a pain relaxer, a pain reliever, a muscle relaxer, put her to bed, woke up the next morning, same problem. It was Christmas weekend, so everything was closed. Everything on post was closed. Everything off post was closed, and I was a civilian by this time, so I wasn't even allowed to use the military hospital service if there was an emergency. So um, I said, okay, we'll give it one more day, see what happens. She stays in bed all day. And the next day, Monday morning, we get up. She can't, she can't lift herself out of bed. Like
it.
she's in so much pain. So I carry her out to the car and driving in Korea, right? Like, traffic is really bad there. If you've ever heard the stereotype about Asians not being able to drive, in Korea, it's true. Like, it's not a stereotype if it's true. Okay. And so it's like 14 million people all coming at you at the same time. They're all aiming for you. So I'm concerned about my wife, and I bundle her up, put her in the car. It's freezing cold outside. Uh,
Yeah, I forgot how cold. I mean, just for the people know, like there's like Michigan cold, Wisconsin cold.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because Korea is a peninsula that
Peninsula got
is so
the
it's surrounded on three sides by water. No
it
matter
is
which way the wind blows,
it's
it's
stupid.
coming across the ocean, and it's just cutting through in the winter.
Yeah.
And in the summer, it's wicked hot with like 110% humidity. I don't even know how that's possible. But so I'm driving her to the hospital. It's Monday morning, and they do have a really good hospital in Korea where they take care of expatriates, right? So I called up the expat line and I said, I need to make an appointment for my wife. She's got shooting pains going down her hands. They said, well, when do you want to bring her in? I said, I'm on my way now. They said, okay, we'll make you an appointment for 9 o'clock. It was like 8:30 at this time. We'll
Mhm.
make you an appointment for 9 o'clock. That's when the appointment hours actually open. So they got me right in.
Wow.
They could have said, I'm sorry, you have to go to the emergency room, but they didn't. So that would have cost us like 10 times as much, right? And they got us right in. They took her inside and they did an MRI, and they found the calcification, and they said,
Wow.
yeah, she's going to have to get this surgery done. So she's going to have to stay in the hospital with us for the next 2 weeks until we are prepared to do the surgery.
Wow.
And I said, why would she have to stay at the hospital? Like, is she going to be more comfortable here or more comfortable in her own home? And they said, well, there's people here who would be able to take care of her. And I said, if you give me the medication, I make my own hours. I took like an entire month off and
Hmm.
just cared for my wife because I had the levity to be able to do that. Like, if it was a 9 to 5 job, I would
Right.
have I would have not been able to do that. Do you know how much more it would have cost me just to keep her an extra 2 weeks in the hospital? Like, it would have been ridiculous. Especially if it had happened here in the States, right? But
Right. Well,
fortunately,
the freedom that you already had ended up being like a huge benefit to this
yes,
particular moment.
absolutely, absolutely. So I talked him into letting me take her back home. I said I can give her the medication. We've got the kids at home. Our daughter at that time was 17 years old. I said she can help, she can cook. She's going to be much better cared for at home than she is here in the hospital. And so he agreed, and we took her home. And she was just on. They gave her a neck brace. She had to wear the neck brace for 2 weeks, and she was on medication that relieved the pain but didn't make anything better. Right. I mean,
Right.
she still had a pinched nerve in her neck and couldn't physically grasp anything, and couldn't had to wear the neck brace, and it was like this all the time. And
Yeah.
so I'm just propping her up with pillows and keeping her comfortable, and doing the things that needed to be done to keep her in good spirits until it was time to go to the hospital for the surgery. And then we went into the hospital for the surgery, and we got a private room, because the nurse kept asking me. She's like, don't you want to get a shared room so you don't have to spend as much money? And I said, how many people are in the shared room? She said, well, there's 5 to a room. I said, so there's 5 people in each room, and all of their family members are there, which is like
Right.
2 more people. So
Yeah.
you're talking about 30 people crunched into a room that was the size of our one room that they let me stay there. I got to feed her all of her meals and everything. I slept on the little couch that was right beside her bed. And I said, 30 people coughing and sneezing and hacking when she's going to have an open wound on the back of her neck, like, that needs to not get infected. That's the most important thing. I don't care how much the room costs. And she says, wow, the nurse was really like surprised.
Hmm.
It was like, she's like, you're a very noble man, right? And she's like, all in Korean, of course. But I said, okay, just to hash the numbers out, I said,
Right.
how much is the private room? And she said, it's $120 a night. That includes all the meals and everything, right? I said, how much is this room? She said, it's like $280 a night. I was like, it's barely double. And the room was like a big hotel room with a nice view and one bed, her own bathroom. She didn't have to go down the hall. I was like, the comfort level of being in a room like this. I said, I'll pay $200 a night to stay in a hotel. Why wouldn't
Right.
I? Why wouldn't I do that to stay at the hospital and be comfortable and be clean and have all our meals? And they fed her so well. Like, I ate half of the meal. So, I mean, it was a lot of food, right? And she was not eating very much at that point anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But, there was, and then the lady's talking to me about this, trying to talk me into getting the room at the time that they're getting ready to wheel her down to get the surgery. And I was just like, look, you need to come back and talk to me about this later. I'm going to be with my wife right now. And
Mm-hmm.
hold her hand, and they take her down, and they take her and put her on the elevator. And then they're like, this is as far as you can go. And then we both just streaming tears out of our eyes, like, because there is that
60%.
60% chance that she might, be paralyzed for the rest of her life. But she said, when they wheeled her into that elevator, she told me later, when they wheeled her into that elevator and the tears started coming out of her eyes, she just said, this is the point where I have to trust God.
Hmm.
And then everything was fine. Like, this calmness came over her, and she knew that she was going to be taken care of. And the surgery went fantastic. She was healed within 2 weeks. She was like up and walking around again. She still had problems getting up out of bed because of the wound,
Mm-hmm.
like, she's got a scar about that long on the back of her neck now. She's only 4'9", so she's
It's a pretty big scar.
yeah.
Proportionally.
But this was um, the year after we'd gotten married. So it was like everything's going great, and we're riding around Korea on our Harleys and having fun and just enjoying life. And then finances just took a big hit, and the contract was coming to an end, so I didn't really have time to recoup all of that.
Hmm. Well, speaking of, so after you got the $200 room, $200 night room, how many nights did you end up staying there?
2 weeks.
2
weeks
weeks.
for her to heal. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Just for the story.
So yeah, and just to put it in perspective, because our pastor came up to us and he said, you can pray for a miracle. And I said, you know what, Pastor? I said, if this had happened, because my wife had just come back to Korea from the Philippines. I said, if this would have happened while she was in the Philippines, she would have 100% been paralyzed for life. They would not have been able to deal with this kind of surgery there.
Mm-hmm.
And she would have been stuck in the Philippines for the rest of her life. Like she would never been able to travel again. Like if you think about the worst possible scenario, that would have been it. I said, the fact that she was here in Korea when this happened, that was the miracle. Like she was placed where she could have been taken care of. And then to make it even better, 2 weeks in the hospital, 2 MRIs, a whole bunch of they kept doing like progressions of x-rays on her neck to make sure nothing was getting worse and things like that. All of the medication, all of the food, less than $10,000.
Wow.
Private room in the hospital for 2 weeks with me being able to stay there the entire time. I told Heidi, I said, if that had happened in America, the medication alone would have cost that much.
Yeah, easily.
Right. So we were in the right place at the right time. She has healed. I want to say she's 97% recovered.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 years, and
Wow.
and the only reason I think she'll never be to 100% is because anytime she has any ache in her hand because of the cold weather, or she has to think, is this happening again? So psychologically, she will probably never be 100% healed. Physically, other than she has screws in her neck, other than that, then physically she's at 100%. But psychologically, I don't think she'll ever be that. She's the happy-go-lucky, loving person she always was. She's the most amazing person I've ever known, and thank God that everything worked out all right. But she's still going to have that little bit of like, if there's a tingle here, she's got to wonder,
right?
Is this happening again? So that's
wow.
that's the drawback to that. So right after that happened, the contract ended. So her and the kids went back to the Philippines, and I went and stayed with them for 45 days, which is how long I thought you could stay in the Philippines without a visa. So I was an illegal immigrant for 15 days.
That's awesome.
I got to experience that for a little while, and they just had me pay like a $86 fine as I left the airport.
Right, because that's when they get you.
It was just a fee, yeah.
They get you going out or coming in, like, wait,
right,
a little extra.
Yeah. So I gladly paid that, and then I came to the States to set everything up for when their visas were approved. Now, if that's not stepping out on faith to say, I'm going to America knowing that you're going to get your visas approved and you're going to come join me. So I came over here.
Not only that, it's not like you had a job offer.
What's that?
Like, you're coming here, but what was your prospects?
Just knowing that I'd been working online for a couple of years.
So basically you came back just knowing that you had the skill sets to do the online business stuff. Not that there was some company here. Oh yeah, pay for your move.
Oh yeah, none
Come
of
on
that.
in. Here's full benefits.
Right.
No, we got you. None of that.
And to be fair, I could have done the online work from the Philippines. The internet's not quite as good as it is here. So these live interviews would have been more challenging. There might have been some glitchiness to it. There's areas you can go where the internet is fine, but the infrastructure is not there for it to be widespread across the country. So other than that, though, like doing affiliate marketing or anything like that, totally could have done it from the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that the cost of living is so much cheaper there that $1 there is what we'd spend like $4 on here.
Wow.
Right. So it's like 4 times more. Your dollar goes 4 times as far.
And did you come back here because of your visa thing? Because you were
No,
not
I could have.
immigrant?
So
Or, like, what was the main reason of coming back to the United States?
because we love to travel.
Okay.
And the Filipino visa doesn't let you travel hardly anywhere. Most of the places you don't want to go, you're allowed to go with a Filipino visa. So we knew that the only way we were going to be able to, one of our goals is to sail around the world. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if she has a US visa. So she has to get her citizenship, which is what we're working on now. And then while we're working on that, we're going to learn how to sail.
Right. Hey, it's all about timing, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've got it takes 3 years. You have to be in country 3 years before you can get your citizenship, before you can apply. 2 years and 6 months before you can apply. And then you take the test and you can, it's like $1,000 or something. It's like $1,000 for everything.
But
the visa fees were like that too.
But the real interesting thing that just a part of that, I mean, there's a whole lot of interesting things here. But the part that I'm kind of keying on tonight is you came back to the United States just basically as a leap of faith, knowing that when you got here, you at least knew the language and knew how to do an internet business.
Right.
Type of thing, at least enough to be satisfied to figure out that you're going to be okay at the very minimum. And then like the fundamental reason of making that leap is because when you come here, you can travel more. So now we're talking about creating your own lifestyle, right? By design, like this is your life. You're designing your life, and you have to do these things, right? Because we live in organizational structural rules, which is fine. Just know the rules. But when you're doing that, you're like that, you basically made that leap knowing that you want to design your life to travel, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yep. So
awesome.
I came over here. It took a year, almost to the day. Like it took a year to get the visas approved. And then I flew back over there and picked them up and I brought them over. I bought a house while they were gone. I bought a car while they were gone. Got the job, like physical, still working remotely, but I had to have to do the underwriter for the house. They told me I had to have like a 9 to 5 job. It couldn't be a contract position to be able to say, well, he's making so much per hour. And if we, expand that out over the period of a year, I'm just checking to see if anybody's Tom Ferry, there's a huge business opportunity, 4-to-1 ratio. Yeah, that's awesome. That's absolutely true too. The only thing that I've had any kind of challenges with that is that importing anything or shipping anything is fairly expensive as well. So by the time you get something over into the country, then it ends up costing maybe 50-50, right? Like it's not quite as good as arbitrage. I got to play arbitrage for a while with Bitcoin back in Korea, because Bitcoin in Korea was worth almost double what it was worth in the United States. And I had a bank in Korea and I had a bank in the United States. So I could purchase Bitcoin for 9,000 in the United States, sell it for 17,000 in Korea. So that was fun. Yeah. Well, in a week, really, because all of the transfers and the fees that come into that. So it still wasn't as cut and dry, even as a 4-to-1 ratio, because it was like I bought it for 9,000, but I had to pay the fees to purchase it, and then I had to pay the fees to transfer it, and then I had to change it from US dollars to Korean won, which
Hmm.
that's its own arbitrage situation. So from 9,000 to 17,000 ended up being about 15,000, which is still really good,
Interesting.
right?
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about really is just virtual skills,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that's a skill. That's one of many, many skills you've picked up, right? Working remotely
Right.
first, and then second, creating your own deals.
Well, I think that just being in a foreign culture for 16 years has really broadened my horizons. Is like moving into a culture that people don't normally deal with,
Hmm.
and a sort of culture that doesn't really deal with outsiders either. Like
Right.
at the point when I first went over to Korea, they were still considered like the hermit kingdom. They didn't,
Hmm.
they considered, they considered a tourist as somebody who went from Busan, Korea to Seoul, Korea. Like just because they traveled 300 miles, they're a tourist,
Right.
which not really how we look at things here. We consider tourists somebody who comes from probably another country, or at least East Coast to West Coast or vice versa, right? You might,
Unless you're in Disney World, then everybody
yeah,
else.
Vegas, right?
Or
Something like
Vegas,
that.
right?
But
Everybody's a tourist.
even then, well, even in Vegas, we called them snowbirds when I was growing
Right.
up. Like everybody moves in the winter because they're trying to escape the cold weather. But uh, I don't think we ever used the term tourist. And I grew up in some really touristy areas, just moving around, like I said, every 2 years of my life. But um, so being able to have that experience and how to deal with the money exchange systems and
Hmm.
where do you buy fresh fruit,
Right.
you
But I
know
think it's interesting that the strong majority of United States citizens did not even own a passport.
hmm
And so when I've looked at different types of opportunity, there's some of opportunity for like overseas, everything from current exchange to real estate to all the things that you would think of, oh, I'll just do that here. But when you start thinking globally,
right.
right, it's a magnitude when
Yeah,
you
and I
start
think
looking.
that's going to change. I think the government is going to start requiring a passport to travel from state to state. So everybody's
Oh.
going to end up getting passports, well, especially if you fly. If you fly at all, you either have to have the specialized driver's license that has the
Mhm,
little stamp built into it, which is the same requirements as getting a passport. So you might as
mhm.
well get your passport and get the pages so you can get the visa stamps if you decide to travel to, Canada or
Right,
Mexico or,
right.
visit the Virgin Islands or whatever. I think
Yeah.
they'll need to have that
Get a
and
passport,
get a
people.
passport.
You're listening, get a passport. That's
Yeah.
cool. Get a
Absolutely.
passport.
It's another level of freedom.
Right. And that I think is like the crux of everything that you've talked to so far, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like when your wife got sick, if you didn't have the job, the freedom in that particular job, you wouldn't be able to do what you've done. You couldn't have
Right.
spent, 15 days extra in the
Yeah. Thank,
Philippines,
thank you for
right?
clarifying that. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I
And
could I could buy a ticket to Bali right now
right, right, and just go.
and just go.
And just go.
Right.
You even getting back to the states, even though you had to do with some system things, aka the mortgage lender 9 to 5 job nonsense,
Right.
right? Regardless of how much money you have coming in,
Right.
you still were able to maintain your level of freedom
hmm
even today, right? I mean, we're staring at your office,
Right.
right, which is greatly improved and it's much cooler than mine.
Oh,
So
I was, it wasn't, when I was traveling though, it was, what do I have? I got this. Uh,
and hey, Tom, thanks for watching, man.
that's it. That's all you really need.
Right.
A headset, like with these Bose headphones, which I swear by these things, because if I flip this little switch, I don't hear anything that's going on around me. So if I'm in the middle of an airport, I turn this on, plug them in to my little Acer Chromebook here. I can do it. I could do the podcast just like this.
Right.
I've done my podcast from inside my car, just driving down the road, like when I came to see you down in Miami, which is
Right.
anybody who
Right.
knows that you're living in Louisiana, why would I come to Miami to visit you? When I drove down to Miami to visit, I pulled into a rest area and I think I used my cell phone for that, actually. Just popped the headphones into the cell phone. And I said, I got to do my podcast. So I pulled over for an hour. I recorded my podcast, and then I kept driving.
Again, right? The key theme, I think I might rename tonight's live when we're done, like Paths to Freedom, quite honestly, because I think that's where this is leading.
Well, I had this epiphany a few years ago. I believe it was when I was sailing, because I had this sense of calm wash over me while I was sailing that I had never really experienced before in my life. It was a sense of freedom and peace. Just pure tears started streaming out of my eyes. I was just in this perfect moment. And I realized in that moment that anybody who had experienced that level of freedom could never deny it of somebody else.
Right. I mean, literally 360 open direction, wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful moment. And part of the reason why I love sailing. Also, when you're sailing, nobody tailgates you.
Right.
There's no road rage out on the water.
No road rage.
Yeah.
Just right of way, maybe. That's about it.
There is definitely right of way. Yeah.
Bigger boats get
Bigger boats get the right of way. Shipping, all of that. But yeah.
All right. So okay, so that's how we got here today, right? And you're living mostly, I mean, you're living 100% the remote style. You're working on creating a digital nomad lifestyle, right? Because you are even though you're working remotely, right, for ClickFunnels. Right. So there is a little bit of, but it's totally freedom of how you do it.
Right. Well, we choose to be in the home. Like part of the reason is because of the citizenship. Like we have to be in one place for 3 years.
Right. So this is it. So this is your foundational building.
Right. And then we're going to rent it out when we leave.
Right.
So we have that planned out already. When I was in Korea, I built a shell company out of Seattle because my contract wouldn't allow me to earn money while I was in Korea. So I couldn't physically take money for, go do headshots of somebody and take money for it. I could lose my contract for that. So I built a shell company out of Seattle and did everything online. That's really why I started working online, was so that I could still pursue my desire to have my own business, So I started that like 3 or 4 years ago. And part of what helped me out with that was this company called iPostal, which, if you've been in the military, could sound really bad because we always talk about going postal, but it's a company that will collect all of your mail. It's a physical address, which is really important because to be able to have the business license, you have to have a physical address to be able to open up banking accounts or cell phone, even like the one that I had a big problem with was the stupid was it not Slack? What's the phone app where you could call around the world for free? What's that called?
The WhatsApp?
Nobody uses it anymore.
Oh, Vonage or something like that. Not Skype.
Skype. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. Skype would not let me like create a cell phone number. Like if here in America, I could do it right now. I could go to Skype. I could create a new cell phone number that would call me through Skype if anybody called that number. But they wouldn't let me do it because my IP address was Korean. Right. So what I had to do was I had to get a VPN. That's a virtual network, virtual something network.
Yeah. I was just, those that know.
Oh, we had to have them in Korea because there's so much stuff that's blocked over there.
Yeah.
private network, virtual private network.
Yeah.
And so I created the VPN that was out of Oregon so that I could contact Skype through the VPN and say, okay, now I'm in Oregon. Can I create a phone number? And then they let me do it.
Interesting.
So I had a cell phone number that would go directly to my phone in Korea that was like an 800 number in the United States. So if anybody called my business phone number, it would come directly to me at like 3:00 in the morning because the hours are different.
Right.
And a
Right.
day later, right? But so I got this iPostal address where all of my mail would get shipped to them, and then they would take a copy of it and email it to me, and then ask me if they needed me to if I needed them to send me a physical copy.
Wow.
So that was how I ran my business, was through that little post office box
Mm-hmm.
out of Seattle. I got my business license done there, and I got my business banking accounts through Chase, which was out of Seattle
So this is
area.
so you're taking. I mean, what you're describing is a whole nother level than
Yeah.
just being remote working.
Right. No,
You
that's the
are.
digital nomad
This
level.
is the digital
That's
nomad
the digital nomad
aspect of
level.
this, where
Right.
you are literally living on the other side of the world,
Right.
right, and having your digital footprint present yourself on the opposite side.
Right. And
Essentially,
most people don't realize that if you spend 330 days outside of the United States, you don't have to pay taxes on your money.
noted.
Yeah.
So basically, just like 30 days in the United States.
That's why I went to Korea in the
In a
first
month.
place, because it was like
In a month.
$76,000 a year tax free,
Wow.
which is a huge bump. That's almost that 100,000 level, like that 6-figure level, just
Right.
because you're not paying the taxes.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay. So now you're living back in the States pretty much on your skills.
I'm definitely paying taxes.
Definitely paying taxes. And you're growing your skills, right?
Yeah.
You're
Right.
growing your repertoire, if you will, of all the things that you are doing, right? I mean, if you look a year back to a year now, right? Now, what does it look like a year from now? What is
Um,
your future vision of you? What is the project today that's nascent that will be full blown, like the thing, or what does that digital nomad lifestyle look like a year from now?
yeah, that's a great question, because it's not, I mean, we visualize these things all the time. Like it's part of the community that I'm in and the culture that I live in now, being an entrepreneur, really. Although I hate to throw that word around because people look at it strange, but uh, creating your own business or creating your own lifestyle, you have to visualize what the future is going to be like for you if you're going to attain that. Like they say, you don't just get out a roadmap and go. You have to have a destination in mind, or you're never going to get there, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah, Matt.
for me, it's not 1 year though. It's my 52nd birthday, which is 2021.
Okay.
So it's a year and a half actually, because I'm working on a movement right now called 1000 Dad Jobs. So it's at 1000dadjobs.com. I just had this epiphany, everything that I'd been working on for the past, 7 years or so, just kind of came into this tip of the spear kind of thing, and
Mhm.
struck me on my brain and wouldn't let me sleep for hours until I wrote it down and said, okay, I wrote it down, got it out of my head, now I can go to sleep. But the idea is that I want to teach 1000 men who are working from home, or even stay at home dads who don't
Mhm.
realize that they can work from home, how to
Wow.
do it, how to
Okay.
basically do what I do, maybe without the travel aspect. But since I'm staying in the same place for the next 3 years, I can definitely focus on their need to stay in one place for their children, like that. I was it didn't have a great connotation to it, but when I first got out of the military, because I
Mhm.
went back in, um, I was a dependent husband. That's what they call it. They call it dependent spouse now, but back
Right.
then they called it dependent husband, and it was kind of a jab. It was kind of a sneer,
Right.
to say,
Right.
well, your wife's in the military and you stay home and take care of the kids.
Yeah.
It's
What are
like
you doing, bum?
it's like emasculating you, right?
Right.
And so I want to get people over that. I know that there's still a stigma for it. In fact, our research tells us that there is more than 7 million stay-at-home dads in America right now. And for
Wow.
the first time in history, there are more women in the corporate workplace than there are men.
Wow.
So the
Wow.
single mom thing was always accepted, like a woman's supposed to stay at home and barefoot and pregnant, and a woman's place is in the kitchen. All of those horrible things that we've finally gotten over are
Mm-hmm.
now being focused on the men who are staying home. And if a man says, I'm Mr. Mom, or I'm a stay-at-home dad, oh, well, that's nice. It's important for one of the parents to be at home.
Right.
I mean, that's what and then
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and the reason why there's so many of these stay-at-home dads now is because there is more wounded veterans in our culture right now than there's been in several decades.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think about veterans and they think that they're some 70-year-old man who was in World War II or the Vietnam War, or I guess they'd be older than 70 now. They'd be 90 if they
Right.
were in World War II. But
No, it's
the
a kid
idea
that's
is,
gotten out tomorrow after 6 years of combat. I mean,
right, see, yeah, most of our veterans now are between like 25 and 45.
yeah.
The majority of our veterans are now in that young to middle age era, and we still don't, as a culture, visualize veterans as being young men who were injured in battle, whether it was injured psychologically, injured
Mhm.
physically. But they get out, like they had this dynamic life. They went to foreign countries, they met new and interesting people, and they killed them. Right? That's the joke. That's the
Right.
military joke, that
So forth the quote.
they join the army and be all you can be. They lived a dynamic life, though. Like every rustling blade could be the enemy moving. Like you just don't know. You can't
Mhm.
look everywhere at once. And the adrenaline level when you're in a combat zone is 110% all the time. It has to be, or you don't survive. And then
Right.
when you do survive, you come back to the United States, or if you, we have plenty of like Filipinos who join the military and things like that.
Right.
You go back home, and you're one of the survivors, and then you feel like bad, like you didn't do enough because you
Mhm.
came back and your friends didn't, and that's a real issue to deal with that isn't really talked about.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
these men come back, and then they don't really, it's that reverse culture shock again. They don't really know how to get into the workplace because all they've ever known is the military. And maybe they're missing a limb, or maybe they're just like not coping with taking orders anymore, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that uh, either they're single dads, or the parents, the couple has decided that the man should stay home while the wife goes out and works,
Right.
right?
Well, so just to couple with that idea, 20% of the Air Force by law and regulation is female.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be 21% and it's not 19%.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes.
Like there can't be more
Correct. It's
women?
20%
Wow, I didn't
in
know
the Air
that.
Force. Capped. That's officers and enlisted.
That's
Right.
very strange rule.
Now, so right, because I'm big in the census and I'm big in the stats, right? Because they help me balance out my perception of the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you walk into a room and you see nothing but ladies, right? You see like 20 ladies in a room,
Mm.
and people are like, "Oh, the hell's going on?" You walk into a room full of guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not a second thought about it.
Right.
But my main concern for the ladies isn't necessarily the ladies, which of course there's always that struggle being in service and figuring out like what does that look like for them and self-competition, the competition, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when a guy has a spouse, we have a spouse club.
Mm-hmm.
And the spouse club is a network of ladies
Mm-hmm.
that connect to help each other and support each other through
Mm-hmm.
their trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the military, we are very socialist. So BT Dub, if you want to be a socialist, join the military real quick. Get a feels for life, right? If you know what it's like, right? It's like that.
Free dental.
Dental, right? Dental. And so what happens is mandatory, via this cup. And so what ends up happening is out in the enlisted corps, there's an enlisted spouse corps, and there's officer spouse, right? They don't mix very well because
The
they're
hierarchy, right?
hierarchies.
Well, I'm the captain's wife.
Oh yeah, this is
Okay,
like real. This is like
great.
real stuff. So, but the ladies have figured it out, right? They got their social strata. They know how to make a bake sale. They know how to host a party. They got all that pretty much in handbooks that have been passed down in some sort of cultural way.
Right.
You throw in a male spouse, the whole thing goes crazy
Mm-hmm.
because he's not a lady. Like he's not.
You noticed.
Yeah, and he's not necessarily baking goods. Right. He's not hosting parties. He's not being. I mean, he's of course supporting his warrior wife. Like that's happening.
Right.
That's not the struggle.
Sure.
The struggle is you add a few males, because out of that 20%, maybe 10% will do this, right? So you're talking about a very small number of males that are literally left out in the wind.
Right. And if they're not prior military, then they're even further outside of the cultural realm.
Absolutely.
Because they've never had the experience. They don't know how to get along with the men who are mostly A-type, aggressive male dominant, or this guy who has never been in that kind of situation before and then doesn't know how to get along with the spouses either.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no place.
Yeah.
This has been a long and things that affect the spouse affect the military member all the time.
Sure.
And there's just zero support systems. There's nothing out there for the men who are supporting their warrior wife, and what ends up, and then that whole stigma now. So your wife's the dominant one, right? Because she's the one doing
bringing home the bacon,
and you're home.
That's right.
Doing what exactly?
Yeah.
Right. And like, how do you let her go to war and you're here? Like, there's a whole mess of issues for the gentlemen out there who are being good husbands, but can't seem to get that socially accepted.
Well, maybe they should take that cap off 2080. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's an outdated rule if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, it's all about the numbers.
That's funny. I'd never heard that before. So some of the things that we talk about is because one of the things that I'm very involved in is multi-level marketing and affiliate marketing as well. So this is two different pathways to earning money remotely, other than working for a company that would let you do it, right? So I'm doing all three. You gotta make that 7 streams of income, right?
Or the fourth one, right? You've created something that you're selling.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, but these are definitely like the two easiest to start with is affiliate marketing and multi-level marketing, and they're both very low cost to get into. Multi-level marketing, if you find a product that you're absolutely in love with, and affiliate marketing because you can just sell somebody else's stuff and make a commission off of it. And it's super easy. You don't even have to buy anything in most cases. Some companies require you to buy their product to understand it before you offer it to somebody else. But for the most part, you can go online and find affiliate deals and then offer them to other people. Even Amazon, you can be an Amazon affiliate right now and you get I think it's 4% if you're selling like books and albums and things like that, digital media. And if you're selling camping gear, for some reason, outdoor gear is like 8%. It's like double. So you definitely want to focus on that. The good thing about being an Amazon affiliate is if anybody clicks through any of your links for whatever reason and
Mm-hmm.
then buys anything in the next 24 to 72 hours, I think it is, you make a commission off of it.
Hmm.
So long as they don't jump out and follow somebody else's link in, right?
Right.
But if they
Right.
follow your link in and then they're like, oh, well, he had these sleeping bags that he was talking about that he went camping with this weekend. I'm gonna go check it out. And they're like, oh, you know what? We need baby bottles. And they go over there and order baby
Right.
bottles and get and a whiteboard or whatever.
Yeah.
You're still making the commission off of that because they followed your link. So
Right.
that's the good thing about Amazon. The other good thing about Amazon is that they are really good at upselling stuff. Like these bundled together, and then you
Right.
make a higher commission because of that.
Other people also bought.
Right, exactly. What they're not good at is they're really oversaturated. Like almost anyone can be in a. If you go look at YouTube and you see any link
Hmm.
in the comments, those are mostly Amazon links because it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really oversaturated. So it's nice to find a product like I've got a Tony Robbins Dean Graziosi product that I went through. I did take the course, and it's a $2,000 course, but oh my God, it's a fantastic course, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they pay a 40% commission on that. So if I offer the course to somebody else and they pick it up, I make, what is that, $800, right? For one
Right.
sale. So that's pretty nice. And there's high ticket commissions too, all kinds of stuff. That's not really what we're here to talk about. But the point being that with MLMs have been around for almost, I want to say 100 years now, like a full century. And one of the first ones that ever came about that is still in existence is Avon.
Right.
The other really popular MLMs are like Mary Kay, Pampered Chef, Scentsy, right? That's a really
Yeah.
popular one. What's the name of it? doTERRA oils. Like they're
Oh
all
yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
all geared towards women
Right.
because the marketing program for this was go out and tell your friends and family about this, bring them into it, and you earn some money. That's great. Go have a Tupperware party at your
Right.
house, all your friends in. And that's great because women are very social creatures. Like
Right. It
they,
fits the stay-at-home mom that
right,
has a bunch of
exactly.
girlfriends that come over in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
right? Because their husband's also working, and so it's
Yeah.
like their social time.
That's right. That's right. And then the friends are just like, well, why wouldn't I want to do this? Why wouldn't I want to
Mm-hmm.
sell some Pampered Chef? I love to cook. I have friends who love to cook. I'll throw a little party for them. If they buy some pots and pans, I'll get some free pots and pans as well, and maybe
Right.
make a little money off of it. So that's great. And it's a good system. It's cheap and easy to get into. It doesn't work for men for the most part, because once we run out of friends and family, and some of them will hold a grudge against you for the rest of your life for even asking them if they would buy your, doTERRA oil or whatever.
Right.
That your friends and family don't necessarily want to start a business. It's not the best people to reach out to. Your warm market is
Yeah.
very shallow. So it doesn't go very far when a man gets into multi-level marketing and then tries to use the same tactics that have been used for the last 40 years. And they
Right.
call it a proven system, but it's just not the way a man wants to generally go out and create their own business.
Right. Well, that's not. I mean, the whole point of any business at large, product, customer,
Mhm.
match.
Right.
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 Exchange. The through that exchange, that's the business
Right.
piece. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the. I mean, guys don't think of friends and family as customers
Right.
or
Exactly.
starters. Like
Yeah.
that's not a thought for most men,
Yeah.
right? Because you're either a family or you're a friend or you're a customer. They're all
Right.
about the boxes,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? It's an or statement, not
Got to
an
keep
and
it
statement.
segregated.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
segregated.
Don't mix business and pleasure. We
Exactly.
say that kind of stuff all the time, right?
Right.
So what we are doing now is we're putting marketing back into multi-level marketing. We're
Mhm.
giving men the tools to be able to, I mean, we have the internet now.
Right.
There's 8 billion people out there. We don't have to talk to our friends and family. Like, they don't even have to know that I'm involved in multi-level marketing, because I can put up a website, bring people in, get warm leads, and do it all automated. So
Right.
what men love is, men love tools, right?
Right.
Men like sports, and they go out and they have get-togethers, or they go hiking, or they go camping. So there are those opportunities to introduce people to this conversation that, yeah, I'm in multi-level marketing, but it's totally unnecessary, because we have the internet now. Like, it's not the 90s anymore.
Right.
We are able to go
Well,
out.
even right now, right? We're sharing your story,
Right.
literally to the world
Right. Yeah.
forever. Like when we hit close, it's on the web
Well,
forever,
that's up to you, isn't it? Like,
right?
you can remove it from your Facebook page. There's no telling what happens to it then.
But the whole point of you talked a touch about the marketing part and
Yeah.
about finding the quote warm market. But
Right.
more importantly, you're basically, you can now, using tools, find people who are already interested in the things
That's
that
right.
you are trying to sell.
That's right.
And so you can just ask them, hey, BT Dub, I have that.
Yeah.
Would you like to do business with me for that exchange of value?
Right.
Right.
And for us, we actually have people apply for our downline.
Right.
Like, you have to be a fit. You can't, we don't just, we don't want to let somebody in just because they need this opportunity, right? Like, if they need the opportunity so bad, they're probably not going to be a good fit, because they need to get their finances in order before they join an opportunity like this. Right. And this is just, and this would end up putting more strain on them. And that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to, we're building a downline of leaders.
So okay, so let's tie us back to the question. How does this, what is your vision?
Okay. Yeah, that's right. You did ask me that. So April 2021, we're going to have 1,000 men who I've instructed to teach from home, 1,000 dad jobs. So it's 1000dadjobs.com. And that is like my overarching vision. That's going to be really, that's the pre-release, because my goal then is to take these men who are now trained leaders in online marketing, then they can go out and teach 1,000 men. And that's how I achieve my million man movement.
So are you ready to put that link out right now into the universe?
Yeah, people could go look at it. We're building it now.
Building it,
Right?
okay.
We're building it now. So if somebody wants to jump on and be an early adopter, absolutely. We could, just like you and I were talking the other day, and we had our Dilbert moment. Like, that would not have happened if somebody else had not approached you about who your market is, right?
Right.
And so when I'm looking at it from an outside looking in view, and you're telling me, I'm looking for businessmen, maybe they've worked in a cubicle and they're tired of the cubicle life and they want to be coached so they can learn how to advance. Would you say that's a fair
That's exactly what we had talked
assessment of
about.
what you're looking for? So I said, oh, it sounds like Dilbert. And then we narrowed down the audience just by putting people who are interested in Dilbert, right? And office space. And it was much easier to narrow down the audience for a Facebook advert. That's what we were talking about, at Facebook advertisement.
Now it's 1000dadjobs.com, right? 1000dadjobs.com.
That's right.
Cool. I am posting it in the links.
Oh, cool.
Or in the comments.
Awesome.
So that it is going to live there forever.
And
if they're so interested.
Yeah.
So okay.
So having people jump in now would give us the opportunity to really deep dive on it and get the research done that we need. Say, when they come to me, like, I've been doing this for 6 years, right?
Right.
I've been building this up since before ClickFunnels was a company. So I've grown with it. So when somebody comes in from the outside, there's some things that I'm not going to recognize that they need right away. So when they come out and they say, hey, this is something that I need a PDF file that has a clear cut roadmap to how I get from here to here, or I need videos. And I do just for my job with ClickFunnels, I do 20 to 40 training videos a week. Right.
Again, for the audience, listen to that for a minute. There's some pausing because we're talking about, again, developing the skills, because that's what you get to keep with you, right? Developing the skills. So now you're just adding more skills to your remote digital setup. All right, go ahead, man. I'm sorry. I just had to take a minute.
Absolutely.
Because it's just so important that we like our tools, but our tools are useless without our skills.
Right.
And so if you want the digital nomad life, or you want to work remotely, or fundamentally you want more freedom in your life, you have to invest in yourself to develop the skills by whatever means. Because I know, Chris, we talked about working for ClickFunnels originally.
Mm-hmm.
We love ClickFunnels.
Right.
You didn't necessarily want to work for a company.
Right.
Right. Not at the beginning. I mean,
right.
it was a
plan.
job to get the house.
Right. Exactly.
Right. But by getting that job, we've developed this more skills, and now we're raving fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Essentially.
Yeah. Funnel Hacking Live's coming up in February. I can't wait.
Yes. Slightly fanatical. So, but these are good things, right? But you're fanatical because you've developed, if you sucked at it, you would not be excited to get up in the morning to go to your office.
Right.
Right. That would not be a fun day for you.
Right.
Because you are skilled and you're developing more skills. Right. That's what's making everything more awesome. So,
right. I also wouldn't be up at midnight talking about it if I didn't love it.
Right. Again.
Again.
So
my wife gets a little frustrated with that.
Right. So we're probably going to end on 2 questions tonight, right? We won't get through all 4.
What were the other 2?
The other 2 questions. So we're going to talk about where you are today on your path and what are your biggest obstacles. I want to save those, right? Okay. Because I think what I would really like to end tonight on is your super clear vision. You're talking about training 1,000 dads. Well, come on, let's take that into more narrow form. What does that actually look like? Okay,
so that the hard launch is going to be in April of 2020, and the goal is an average of training 3 men a day. I mean, 3 men a day for 1 year is 1,000 men.
So you're adding 3
around
men
that,
a day.
Around that, yeah, right. Bring them into the program, and we're talking about, because the beauty of affiliate market is that even if you come through me, or if they go through your affiliate link, or they go through somebody else's affiliate link, or if they go directly to the company and don't even use an affiliate link, they pay the same price for the product. But the beauty about finding somebody who is, trained and studied and knows how to utilize the product, and then reaching out to them to use their affiliate link, is you now have like a built-in coach mentor, right, who is willing to guide you because they want to see you be successful. Because so long as you're successful in the product that they have helped you find, then they're going to be successful as well. There are affiliate marketers out there who take their ugly link and they throw it out to the world and they hope people will buy it, and then they never talk to them again. Those guys are the bane of affiliate marketing. Don't deal with them. Deal with somebody who is proud to be an affiliate marketer, expresses a love for the system that they're offering, and understands the system in high detail. You just froze on me. How about this one? This one's still working. Oh, okay, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay.
My internet connection is unstable.
Okay. Well, then you know what they're telling us.
Okay.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah. That's what the internet is saying.
This turned out, way better than we had planned.
For sure. Absolutely. So I love that vision, right? We were focusing on the stay-at-home guys, right? The gentlemen who are taking care of their families,
right?
and the gentlemen they feel deep need by either their own sense, their DNA.
They still want to live a dynamic life,
right.
and be a hero to their children.
Ooh.
And that is a very difficult path to walk.
Yes. And to be and in that heroism, be a provider.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I mean that's
right.
That's huge.
And kids don't care, if you show up at the birthday party with like a hand carved bar of soap that says I love you, or if you bought them Nike Air Jordans, right? They're just glad that you're there.
Right.
To an extent, until they hit 13 or 14 years old. But the idea being that they know that they can rely on you.
Right. And you can't do that unless you have the freedom.
That's right.
So here, like full circle, the freedom from the lifestyle of the remote worker, digital nomad, aka a man controlling his time. Right. And this goes for the ladies out there, so don't be crazy.
No, it's especially important to get the ladies involved, because especially if the woman is out in the corporate world, and she's absolutely crushing it, and that's awesome. It's still a new paradigm,
right,
for the woman to be out in the corporate world, even though, as I said, there are more women in the corporate world now than ever before in history. It's still fresh. Like they're still trailblazing.
Right.
So the idea that they know what it's going to be like when they get home. What is that culture going to be? How does that look?
Right. And how are you going to support the guy? Right. Not just supporting the family or the home life and all that, some of those traditional factors, but just like we talked about before, a guy during the day is not going to go out and have social circles and go hang out with people. A guy during the day is going to
generally
be productively, right? They want to be doing things.
And unfortunately, in our society, to be sociable in a man's world generally means to go out and drink.
Right. Well, hopefully we're breaking that paradigm right here.
That's right.
This will be the new way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not to say you can't go out and drink and have fun. That's to say, that you have to focus on other responsibilities before you do those things. And jumping back to that story about my wife having the prior to the surgery, the way I used to deal with that kind of stress is that I would drink until I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But when this thing happened, I said, okay, she finally fell asleep. She's relaxed enough. The doctors gave her medicine. She's at the house. She hasn't had the surgery yet. She's relaxed enough. I get to have some time to myself. She might sleep for 4 hours, right? I get some time to myself. I get to relax now. I'm going to have a glass of scotch.
Right.
That was how I dealt with things. But then I thought, but what happens if she doesn't make it 4 hours? What if I have to rush her to the hospital again and I've got a glass of scotch in me?
Right.
I couldn't deal with it. Like the responsibility took over at a level that I had never experienced before. And that was when I quit being a drinker.
Well, it's interesting. So I really like your overall vision, right? For the guys that are out there who are not just trying to take care of their family. They also want to be a provider in some fashion. And there's that, what you said, sense of responsibility, only employed when there's something there for them to be responsible for. And I think that for a guy, I think that really, I mean, if it's my opinion, you guys can hate me if you want, right? But difference between a bum and a not bum, in the most traditional grandfather statement, is the doing, right? What are you doing? Are you doing things? Right. And being productive of some sorts.
Yeah.
Judgment aside of what that productivity is.
Motion is very important.
But motion, right? Those are in motion and those are not in motion.
That's right.
Your path here that you're carving, right, for men to follow through is a path of motion,
Right.
right? And it will allow them in time to be a provider and a stay-at-home dad
Mm.
at the same time, with the overall hopes of generating the freedom, right, for the entire family.
Right. And still have a dynamic lifestyle. And
Right.
to your legacy is those children. And if you raise them with them seeing that, you can be a godly man, you can be a respectable man, you can be a responsible man, and you can still have fun. You can
Right.
still learn great things. Never stop learning, never stop your education.
Right.
And raise your children in that way. That's the next generation. That's where the legacy is going to be.
Awesome. And you know what? I think on that, I think there's nothing else to say. Right. I
All
think
right.
we'll end on legacy.
All
right. Fantastic. Chris, thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. God bless you, Ken.
Yeah, this was awesome. We'll see what of all the magic works out at the end.
Yeah.
I will confess, I forgot to do something already. Again, technology not enabled. I don't think I hit the record button, but that's fine.
No. We'll record it.
We're backed up, right?
Yeah. You'll be okay.
Winning. All right. Again, this is Christopher St. Germain, right? Of all the things right now, 1000dadjobs.com. It's in the comments. If you're curious about that project, please click it. Please connect with Chris. He's awesome. Chris, final words?
I'm getting Zoom. Like, I'm upgrading. This is great to be able to do this straight to Facebook Live. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's definitely worth the penny.
That's going to be my next thing. Like, now I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. I'm starting to do interviews with people, and I was thinking, how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to do a Zoom call, and I'm going to record that, and then I'm going to post that to Facebook. This is way better. Like,
way
just
better.
do it all at once, and then it's half the work, right?
Right.
So compressing that time is very important to me.
Yeah. See, more knowledge. Well, we're going to have to do another one of these. We'll talk about where you are and your obstacles for sure.
Yeah.
But I also want to start thinking about future ones when we talked about, like, maybe we can get some people to comment below and go like specific tactics.
Yeah.
Like,
well, let's say if we were going to do it next week, we can answer any of the questions that are here in the chat.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, we could do it.
Yeah. So I'll just keep kicking this thing up, and if people can put comments in and figure out, hey, now I really want to know what a funnel hack is. I really want to know what ClickFunnels is. Hey, I want to know how to do
everybody wants
whatever, right? How to gain some freedom in my life. Right? This is it.
Right on. Yeah.
All right, Chris, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good night.